Hey Google, lights on. Now, every 2 to 3 years, I have this urge and inspiration to want to remodel my space, or what I would like to call it, giving it new life. And this urge to remodel isn't based purely because I don't think the space looks good or that I'm tired of it, but more so, I want to work in an environment that motivates me and gives me inspiration as a creative person. As someone who sometimes has to work at their computer 12 hours a day, I think it's really important for me to be motivated and inspired to be in my space. And also, I just really like remodeling my space. I like the part where I'm looking at inspiration and looking at different ideas. I like the part where I'm actually doing the moving and stuff, as well as finally enjoying the outcome. And so for this year's remodeling, I'm going to be buying some new furniture. I'm going to be throwing out some old furniture, as well as moving some of the furniture around. And if you think my space right now is a mess, well, you're not wrong, but you should really see how it looked like a week ago. Obviously behind me you can see is the new remodeled space, and we're gonna get to it in just a moment because today I want to share with you guys 6 tips on how I created my aesthetic but also functional space. So the first tip is to find your look. Now, one of the best ways to find your look is on the internet. The internet has an abundance of resources for you to look and get inspired by. My favorite is Pinterest. And it's personally one of my favorites because once you start looking at one design, you can find similar designs that you resonate with, and you can keep looking at more and more and more, and it never ends. So some days I'll go through rabbit holes of scrolling through Pinterest, and when I find and lock in on one kind of aesthetic, I can find other similar ones because of its algorithm, and then I can save a bunch of them to my own Pinterest board, which I can revisit later for inspiration. There's also Instagram and Facebook, which you can follow different groups and accounts that are dedicated to interior design, whether it's for office space, kitchen space, bedroom space. I'm sure there's an account for every type of space. And lastly, if the internet just isn't enough for you and you're someone who likes to see things in person, you can always go to a friend or family's house who might have been designed by someone professional, or you can go to my favorite place, Ikea. So right now we're here at Ikea because I need to collect some of the things that I purchased online, but also I'm going through the showrooms right now to gather some more inspiration. I love coming to Ikea because of all these showrooms that they have. It's such a cool place to gather more insight and more ideas. I love how they design their showrooms, and although I would say their items, the products are not the best of quality, I do think there is an aesthetic to it, and it's fairly cheap, which is affordable for me. So I'm just gonna walk around the showrooms and take a look around. I love it when they theme the rooms based on the season it is. It makes it look super pretty. Topic number 2 that I want to talk about is color palette. A color palette is a combination of colors used in a design. and when used correctly, it can really help you formulate that look you're going for by maintaining consistency. And overall, your space will be very aesthetically pleasing. Now, when choosing your color palette, I like to follow the 60-30-10 principle. The 60-30-10 principle means that 60% of your space is one color, 30% of your space is another color, and then 10% of your space is an accent color. Now, obviously, you don't have to follow this principle to a T, but you can hover around it and kind of create your own personalized touches to it. So when it comes to my space, I have white as my 60%. I have white walls, white furniture, white picture frames, white appliances. Majority of my space is white. Now for 30%, I've chosen a brown with a wooden finish, and that includes this tabletop right here, this keyboard rest right here, my monitor stand, that Ikea furniture right there, and of course my wood slabs at the wall. And obviously you can see that the wood color and stain is not the same, and that's because I can't manufacture all these pieces by myself using the same type of wood. So this is really my personal touch. Even though they are not the same shade of brown, because they are all wooden texture, I've maintained consistency. For the very final 10% color, I've chosen a very dark gray and black. I have a black husky tool chest over here. I have a very dark gray accent wall right here, as well as black curtains and other knickknacks that are black. So remember, your color palette is very important to maintaining that consistent look that you're going for. It applies to the color of your wall, the color of your floor, and the color of your furniture that you might already have or might be purchasing. Now, this next tip is a principle that I think everybody should follow, and it's called KISS. It's an acronym for Keep It Simple Stupid, which basically means keep your space very simple and minimal. Now, when it comes to designing your space, definitely keep it simple. The last thing you want to do is purchase a bunch of furniture that makes your space look tiny, because now you have no space to walk through. And one thing that I've been doing recently to maintain a very spacious look is by following this little phrase, don't leave it, put it away. When I used to come home from video shoots, I would bring my backpack down here and I would just leave it by the couch over there. I would take my camera, put it on the table here, take the memory card, and put it in the memory card slot while transferring files. However, leaving these things around, you're creating clutter. So now, I'm putting away my camera bag in the designated spot over there. I'm taking my camera out and I'm putting it back in the husky tool chest that I bought specifically to hold all my camera stuff. And then the memory card, once it's finished transferring files, I'm not gonna leave it in the slot or put it on the table. I'm gonna put it back in the camera so that I don't ever forget it. This is how you maintain a clutter-free space, by not leaving things around and putting things back where they belong. Now, if you have things that you don't really use frequently, or you use maybe once a month, once a year, or things that you don't think you're ever need to use, but you're gonna keep it, drawers are your best friend. I say drawers are your best friend because drawers and cupboards allow you to hide your things. So despite me having a lot of stuff, I am hiding a bunch of stuff in my drawers and cabinets so that visually you can't see them unless you're going through them. And lastly, getting rid of things that are no longer of use to you. That could be throwing them out in the trash bin, donating them to a local facility, or even selling them to make a little bit of pocket cash. Lighting. Lighting is very important to creating a space. Not only does it give you visibility to see things, but also helps set the mood. And I know that there's been a trend going on where we no longer use those lighting fixtures in our ceiling that come with the house. We go out and we purchase lamps and other appliances and accessories to light up our space. And this is called ambient lighting. And that's what I do here in my space. In my space here, I have multiple light sources. I have a paper lamp behind the camera. I have a very big lamp in that corner. I have this little nook here, which is very moody and very aesthetic. It includes a paper Japanese Akari lamp. It has a neon light, and it also has this very cool floating light bulb. And obviously I have the window right there. However, because that window is facing north, I don't get direct sunlight. It's mostly just indirect light. A lot of my lights are from Gobi and they're synced to my Google Home. So I can do this. Okay Google, change lights to warm white.
Changing 5 lights. lights to warm white.
Okay Google, change lights to daylight.
Changing 5 lights to daylight.
So you see, with these smart lights, I'm able to kind of control my space to create a very aesthetically pleasing mood. Now, I think smart lights and smart plugs are a thing that you should invest in early on. As someone who likes to film their space, being able to control the brightness as well as the temperature of the color is very important. And because I have more than 10 different lights, I can save some time and effort by telling Google to turn them all off at once or individually rather than manually going to every single one and turning them off. Okay Google, lights off. So the next topic requires a little bit of math, and it's called space planning. Space planning involves measuring out your space, the furniture that you're going to be keeping, removing, as well as adding. Because again, the last thing you want is to have a space that is so filled with things that you can't walk through. I think when it comes to designing a space and you're moving furniture around, adding new furniture and taking things out, you have to prioritize your layout, making sure that it's functional. Here in my studio, every corner and piece of furniture has its own style and aesthetic. They all serve their own purpose while maintaining functionality. So if I want to film something here at my desk, it's going to look totally different from filming something at my Husky tool chest, which is a very dark area, but also very techy. It's going to look very different from filming over there, which is very calming and aesthetic. It's also going to look very different if I film over by the plants back there because that's very naturey and green. So when it comes to planning out your space, definitely measure out how big your room is, measure out how big your furnitures are, and making sure that your furnitures that you're putting in are functional yet aesthetic. So topic 6 is really just some takeaways from my own personal experience. If you are remodeling an office space and you have a desk like this here that is really big and really heavy, get yourself one with caster wheels. So for the past 3 years of owning this sit-stand desk, I've had to move the desk in and out from the wall numerous times without caster wheels. For being such a big and heavy desk, it took a lot of effort to just shimmy it out from the wall just so that I can add another monitor arm or to fix some cable management. So consider getting some caster wheels for your desk. Another addition that I recently added during this remodeling is my one monitor mount that leads to 2 of my floating monitors. Having one mount that leads to 2 floating monitors actually leaves so much more space on the desk for me to do other things or to just keep it empty so that it looks like the desk is a lot bigger. I love my current setup now because I have so much more space under the monitors and I don't think I'll ever go back to how it was before. Functional decor is another great way to spice up your space. You can use different items to make your space feel homey and personalized to you, but remember, keep it minimal and don't buy too much. Recently, I purchased a wall mount for my vacuum and I think it really helps with the space. It makes it feel very homey and that purple really stands out. I also have 2 carpets, one under my desk and one under my coffee table over there. These 2 carpets are actually very aesthetically pleasing and they're very functional because here in my basement it gets really cold in the winter and still pretty cool in the summer. So these carpets keep my body warm, keep my feet off from touching the floor. And right here I have 2 jars of paint. One is a dark gray and white and they're for my walls. And I think having 2 jars of paint is one very convenient for me to touch up my walls, but also very aesthetically pleasing. And obviously the plant corner over there, it's very nice to look at and also is very functional because it helps filter out pollutants in the air here in my space. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and if you have stuck around to this part, I hope you have taken something away from my tips and tricks for your next remodeling. These tips and tricks may not be conventional, however, they work for me and I'm happy to share them if they can work out for you. I love seeing other people's spaces, and if you like my updated studio, let me know by liking this video and subscribing. If you have any suggestions for my studio, let me know in the comments down below, and I think that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.